These are the two different classes that can be utilized in order to deal or design a window form efficiently. It shows Windows forms control hierarchy and the component placements. It forms has a data manipulation, like what to do with the data via the modular components or like DB connection. Then we can say it is used to open the link to the database. Hello everyone, I welcome you all to this first session of Unit 4 that's under C# and .NET programming. Yeah, this is according to updated syllabus of SCP that's under MYSURU University. The fourth unit is all about introducing to Windows forms. Over here, my name is Deepa Kutnekar. I'm working as an assistant professor under Department of Computer Science, Vidhyaashram, Temple of Excellence, Mysuru. Let's move forward and understand what is the agenda of today's session. In today's session, we'll be discussing about the introduction to the window forms, and also we will be learning the 3 GUI namespaces, that is with respect to C#. Then we also discuss anatomy of a form, then followed by the components that we use with respect to the C#, that is when creating a Windows form. Then up next we also discuss the difference between component as well as a control class, followed by the Ado.NET Core architecture as well as connectivity. So these are the things that we discuss in our today's session. So let's head up and let's have an introduction with respect to window forms. So Windows forms is all about a GUI, okay? So you might have seen the Google spreadsheets, correct? So before we were moving with Google spreadsheets, we were used to work in a Windows forms. So that Windows form now we can create by using a simple C# program, and the things we need like the list, boxes or the namespace, all we can add it to a form. So that's what all about the window forms. So over here we can see, or we can say it is used to form a visual UI foundations in order to deal with the robust data access in a C# programming. With respect to head with a robust data set, we need the window forms. Over here, the 3 GUI namespaces. This is very important with respect to exam point of view as well as dealing with window forms, because whenever we are dealing with forms, we need these namespaces. We will be using either of this, or we might also use all of this altogether. So yes, the first one is system.windows.forms. This is our first namespace, and it says like it is a core namespace which provides and control and forms a management in order to deal with Windows desktop applications. Whenever we want to work with Windows applications, then we can directly define or utilize the system.windows.forms. Then we will be directly redirected with respect to Windows forms. Up next, the second namespace is system.windows.forms.design. So this is a second namespace that we utilize in order to enhance the design time as well as the behavior with respect to Visual Studios. Alright, up next, it also enables smarter drag and drop pop-up. Also, it has a property of editing and controlling visualizations. So this is all about our design, that is windows.form.design namespace. The third namespace that we use is underlying Windows with API or COM. So this WinForms or the window form API as well as the common window forms are utilized to work with Windows 32 GUI routine as well as with the managed code format too, and it leverages the handword as well as message loops and the GDI plus. So the graphical design interface plus form can be considered, and it can also be utilized as well as designed by using this underlying windows.api or com namespace. So these are the three namespace which we utilize in order to design our window forms. Next, let's see the anatomy of a form. A form inherits from a control, enabling it to act with an visual container. Okay, a form can also be enhanced as a visual container where you can drag and drop different forms, like you can add a label, you can add a title, then you can add a buttons. So according to your requirement, you can go ahead and add the components inside that form. And up next, it is designed using Visual Studio IDE. So IDE is all about integrated development environment. So that is used to form specific and layout via visual editor while generating the underlying code, as well as for instantiation and for control management. It is utilized in order to deal with these things. So this is all about the anatomy of a form. Up next is a component class as well as a control class. So these are the two different classes that can be utilized in order to deal or design a window form efficiently. All right. So let's see one by one what it is. First one, starting with component class. In order to deal with component class, we have to use a keyword, right? So that keyword is system.component.module.component. So this is a keyword that we utilize whenever we want to deal with a component class. Now let's see what is this component class all about. So yes, it is a non-visual logic unit that is used to design few very important things like timer as well as the binding sources. It supports in design time dropping onto the forms and implement the iDisposables. It is used to drag and drop some timers or some most crucial things that has to be utilized whenever we want to design a form. Okay, it is all about a component class, then followed by control class. Yes, absolutely, as the name itself says, the control class, it is used to define all the control components. Like if I want to design my form in a more visual way, I must add a title to that form. Then we have to add some buttons like button or any other buttons. If I want to add a title, yes, I can add it. If I want to add a buttons for that page, yes, we can do that. That is because of this component class. So what is the keyword that we have to use? It is none other than system.windows.forms.control. So this is a keyword that we have to utilize in order to work with control class. So we have few of the applications over here where we utilize this control class. So we utilize it to handle rendering services and input, layout, docking. Then we also use them in events where more focus is utilized and for more accessibility. So this is where we will be using with the control class. Up next, let's understand Windows Forms control overview. So the forms has to be controlled, correct? That control is possible. How is it possible? It's like it shows Windows Forms control hierarchy and the component placements. Like if I am using a form, then what are the grouping containers like group box, followed by controls like buttons, track box, list box, etc. Followed by the button check boxes, radio buttons, also derived from button base. Okay, and it handles clicks as well as the toggle logics too. We can either click or we can use the toggle logic in order to enable the service of a button or a title or a radio buttons. Up next, let's see an example of a label. Label is utilized in order to provide read-only text display. Alright, track bar. Absolutely, track bar is used as a slider control in order to control the properties, minimum, maximum value, and up next it can also control the events too. All right, up next is a progress bar. So yes, progress bar, as we can see the progress bar in our mobile phones too. Like if you want to share any of the file, on that you'll be showing with continuous progress, right? That progress bar is also possible to create by using window forms. All right, so that is by using the control class. It is used as a visual feedback via value progressions. So this is all about our few of the control class components. Up next is a group box. So group box is a nothing but logically grouping container for layout as well as for radio button clusters. Next one is a list box. So it is used to display selectable connections only, and it can be either items selected or index changed, whatever it may be, but according to our requirement, we can go ahead and display the things. All right. Up next is a month calendar. The date selection UI as well as the selection start and events like date changed. All these are possible by using this month calendar. All right. Next one is tooltip. So this is a non-visual hover that heads via the tooltip. So just we have to set the tooltip by providing the necessary information in order to initiate the tooltip. So these are few of the components that are widely used and very crucial whenever we want to design a Windows forms. Up next, let's see a Ado.NET Core architecture as well as the connectivity. Ado.NET is a .NET framework or that is used as a data access library, and it is designed for connectivity with the relational as well as the non-relational sources. So if we want to deal with any of the relational or non-relational sources, then we need some library, correct? So that set of data library is being supported by this Ado.NET, which is a form of .NET framework. Clear? So next, why it is used? Yes, it is used as a separator with respect to data access, and it forms as a data manipulation, like what to do with the data via the modular components. And also it is used to grasp the data and grasp the data via the connection. Also it is used to provide commands as well as data from the models, and in order to choose, yes, if you want to choose between the connected or disconnected pattern, you can do that by using this .NET, or we can say Ado.NET framework. So in summary or a glance, we can say Ado.NET is a framework library, okay, and it has a data access library too, which supports the information or the transactions with respect to the data. Up next, the architecture. The Ado.NET architecture is been subdivided into these three parts, or we can say the Ado.NET architecture consists of connection, command as well as a data reader or a data adapter. The data, so first let's see what is the data. The data can be processed directly like connected model, or we can also say routed through data set or the data table before reaching the database. The data, how it processed or how it is being transmitted, it's what we have discussed over here. Up next, let's see a architectural diagram. So as I told, the Ado.NET architecture includes the connection. So over here, we can see the connection. Then it includes a command. We have a command, then followed by the data set or a data reader. All right. So yes, let's start with a database. So in database, we will be having a collection or a set of data. Okay. So from that, we will be or we can use by using a data reader. The data from a database is been collected by a data reader. Okay. Up next, it is being collected as a parameter through the command form. Okay. All right. With respect to command, when we say command, we can also go with data adapter, where we can do all the different set of command operations. Like if I want to select a command, yes, I can do that. If I want to insert any of the commands, yes, we can do. Also, if we want to update or delete a command, we are open to do that. That is possible because of the parameter, or we can say that is because of a command that is being utilized as a part of ADO.NET architecture. Next, going with the connection, we have a command and we have operated on that. Next, we have a data set ready. So we need some transaction, correct? So yes, that transaction is being monitored by the connection part. So the transaction, as we can see, it is monitored by the connection part of ADO.NET framework. Once we are done with these things, the commands connection, then we can go with the data set. So in data set, we can't only say that my data will be in a sentence form. Sometimes or many times we can be having a data, or we will be having a data that is being represented in a form of a table. All right. So if my data is in a form of a table, how to deal with that? Yes, for that, I have to go with a data set. All right. So we can use a XML format, and we'll be using data relation collection in order to retrieve our tables. Okay. So from that, if we have any constraint, it will be collected or a complete data will be collected. Fine. Next, if any column data has to be collected, yes, even it's possible because we have data column collection separately, and we can go with data row collection too. So completely what we can say is, whenever we want to represent a table, it is possible. Either if you want to consider only a column, yeah, you can do that. Either if you want to work on a complete row, even it is possible. Or if you want to work on with a complete table, you can do that by using a data set. So over here you can note, we can also work as a data table connection or the collection. So this is all about the three different parts that is supported and handled by C#, that's under ADO.NET framework. Following, let's see few of the key components as well as the description of the architectural diagram. So first one, connection. If I want to go with the SQL connection or with a OLIDB connection, then we can say it is used to open the link to the database. Okay. Then if I want to go with the command, it might be SQL command or it might be OLIDB command. It is used to perform execution of SQL statement or the stored procedures. Next, if I want to read the data, it might be using SQL data reader or OLIDB data reader. The thing what we can do by using this is, we can go with fast forwarding data, or we can fast forward the data, we can read the data. So these are the few important tasks that can be handled by this components. Up next is a data adapter. Either you can go with a SQL data adapter or with a OLIDB data adapter. By using this data adapter, what happens is we can bring the data as well as a database for the disconnected connections. Next one is a data set or data table. This is possible because of the support of XML files, right? In memory XML tables as well as supporting multiple tables as well as relations, all are possible by using this data set or a data table. Up next is a data view. The data view, as name itself says, it is used to view the data or the information. Okay, let's see here. It can either sort or filter views on the data tables. So whatever we want to do, we can go ahead by using this data view because it is utilized in order to view the information on the data. So these are the few components as well as a description like what exactly it is utilized for. This was all about today's session, and in the upcoming sessions we'll be discussing like what is connected versus disconnected architecture, followed by the Ado.NET already be connected architecture, then integrating WinForms with UI as well as Ado.NET. Then if you want to build a simple test database, yes, what are the terms or the components related to it, we can read that. We'll be discussing with respect to that. Finally, selecting a database as well as connecting layer and OLEDB data reader. So these are the things that we discuss in our upcoming session. So this was all about today's session. Thank you.